Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. This is Mani Karthik here. In this episode, we're going to take a look at how to start a business in the UAE, United Arab Emirates. Let's go. Alright, so some of you may be wondering why UAE and why not India or USA or Estonia. In the previous episodes, we have seen how to start a business in the USA, the easiest way, and in Estonia, which happens to be in Europe. So I thought, why not UAE as well? Because it's very close to India and there are a lot of businesses happening by Indians in the UAE. So let's dig more into it. Oh, and by the way, I'm talking from my experience as an entrepreneur. I'm not a legal person. I'm not an attorney who can give you every bits and nuances of this. So if you have to do more of research, please feel free to do so and hire an attorney. If you want to hire a company, don't do it yourself if you need help. So first, why UAE? So first and foremost, it's very easy and obvious. UAE is very close to India, so that makes it easy for you to come and go. The travel is so much more easier, and to do business, it's very, very easy. There are a lot of Indians in the UAE. There are a lot of people who travel back and forth very easily, very commonly. So it's so much more easier to do business with the UAE than USA or Estonia. And you get pretty much the same kind of infrastructure like in the US or Europe, just that the language might be different or the way you're treated and stuff like that might be different. That's about it. And UAE on the whole is a very business open community, which means that they want you to invest in the UAE and actually start businesses there because it's actually helping their economy. So they're trying to make it more and more easier for businesses to come small or big and start businesses. So you'll find a lot of opportunities for you to take advantage of. And you'll find a lot of single window systems where you can just approach someone, tell your intent, pay the money, give in the documents, and get started in like no time. And there's another factor too that kicks in because in UAE, you'll find a lot of free zones. Free zones are nothing but like special economic zones like we have in India, like CES as it's called. So in India, you have a lot of special economic zones like in Kochi, in Bombay, in Delhi. Everywhere there are special economic zones which are reserved to certain kind of businesses, and they make it easy for those businesses to get started because there are a lot of tax benefits and stuff like that. So similarly in the UAE, it's even more easier because these are free zones, and every emirate has a free zone of their own. Like there is Sharjah Emirate free zone, there's Ajman free zone, Ajman Media City free zone, there's Dubai free zone, Al Quwain, Al Ain, Abu Dhabi, you name it. So who can actually start a business in the UAE? So basically anyone with a clean history and all the documentation like passport, KYC documents can start a business. And of course you have to have the money, but you shouldn't be having any sort of negative history with the UAE specifically, like for example, some kind of litigation, some kind of criminal cases or anything of that sort. If you have any history like that, it might be difficult for you to start in the UAE. But otherwise, it's pretty much a straightforward process. So how can you start a business in the UAE? Let's look at that. Like I mentioned, there are different free zones available in the UAE, like Ajman Media City free zone, Sharjah free zone, Dubai free zone, Al Ain free zone, Abu Dhabi free zone, everything. And every free zone is actually competing to each other. So their packages and their plans are actually pretty aggressive and competitive in my opinion. And the prices have actually come down in the last couple of years, and they're aggressively looking at Indian investors to start their business in the UAE. So for example, free zones basically meant a lot of these shipping industry and, cargo business and stuff like that. But now they've realized that there are even businesses with like freelancers and single person entities like social media influencers and stuff. So they're actually making it possible for them to start their businesses. Like for example, Ajman Media City Free Zone has a social media influencer platform or a package whereby you can be just one person doing YouTube videos, or you have a lot of following on Twitter or Instagram and you're basically a social media influencer and you can start a freelancer business in Ajman Media City Free Zone. Same thing with Dubai as well, but the prices are different. So with these free zones being there, it is so much more easier and you have a lot more opportunities to start your business in the UAE. The process is pretty simple. You have to have all your documents ready. Documents as in your KYC documents, your passport, your Aadhaar card, if you had any sort of businesses in the past, that, your resume. So basically telling them who you are and what you do, and also nature of your business. If you already have an idea, that would help. So once you compile all these documentation, you have to contact them and there'll be a representative who will assist you with the whole process, whereby usually they have like Salesforce CRM. So you just have to upload these documents into those CRMs and they'll approve it, and you have to pay the money online. And once you do that, in most cases, you have to actually physically go to the UAE and get your visa stamped. Yes, you get a free visa in most cases. In most cases, your employees also will get free visas, which means you can sponsor your employees. For example, if you're a single person entity and you figure out that you need 3 or more actually be hired, maybe from India or the UAE itself, then you can sponsor them with visas. So usually what people do is they take their family there, they stay there on their own visas, and they provide visas for their family so they can stay with them. So this is one thing. The disadvantage is that you have to physically go to the UAE and get these visas stamped on your passport, or get your trade licenses physically, and also visit the UAE every 5 or 6 months, because they need you to be there in the UAE. And many people, what they do is, many people from the UK, US, they do have investments in the UAE, and they launch their businesses and they come down to the UAE every 5 or 6 months. They stay for a while and then they go back. So it's a very standard template kind of a format, but there are things that you have to understand and make sure you do at the right time and not ignore them. That's very important. So one argument against starting a company in the UAE is that many people say that you have to actually physically visit there, unlike in Estonia or the US, where you don't have to physically go and visit. Yes, that is a disadvantage, but then I think considering the physical proximity with India, I think for Indians it's so much more easier to start their businesses in the UAE, because it's probably 3 or 4 hours of journey, and you can pretty much come back and forth in a day if you want to, or spend a few days there. That's fine as well. The other disadvantage is that even though there are tax benefits for companies in the free zones, if you're not physically staying in the UAE for the longest time, or if you're staying in India for that matter, then you don't qualify as an NRI and you have to pay taxes. So I don't know more about it. You might have to ask your CA or your tax consultant, but ideally you should be living in the UAE to get those benefits, or those tax benefits. I mean, your company will be getting those tax benefits because you are in the free zone, but as a person, you won't be able to get those tax benefits because you won't be an NRI unless you're actually living in the UAE. So just keep that in mind. Yes, so like I mentioned, you will get your own visa, which is your employer visa. So you yourself are the employer. So for example, if you're taking the social media influencer package, there'll be just one person, which is you, and you will get your visa, by which you can always go to the UAE and come back. Every 6 months, ideally, you should go, or you can stay there. That's one thing. The other thing is, if you have a few people with you, then you should be opening an FCE LLC, a free zone entity or enterprise. I'm not sure what it's called. It's FCE LLC, which means you are the only owner and you can sponsor up to 2 or 3 different employee visas. And that changes or depends on which free zone you're in. Now, when it comes to cost of setting up these companies, it can go anywhere from 7,000 dirhams to up to 20,000 and even 50,000, depending on the scale of the company or how big your company is. So if you're a single person entity, like a blogger or a social media influencer, you can start your company from anywhere around 8,000 to 10,000 dirhams in the UAE. So 5,000 dirhams is close to 1 lakh rupees. So that's what you're looking at. So like I mentioned, there are different free zones. There is Sharjah, Ajman, Al Quwain, Al Ain, and Dubai, and each of them have these different pricing packages. So for example, Ajman would have 3 or 4 different packages within itself. Dubai would have its own different ways of doing it, and Sharjah would have their own ways of doing it. A lot of people have told me that Sharjah and Ajman is so much more easier to do business, because there are, unlike in Dubai, where there are a lot more processes and money involved. I mean, you can get started easily, but then there's a lot of money paying that happens, which means like renewing your licenses, or there are a lot of hidden charges, they say. I'm not sure. But from my experience in Ajman and Sharjah, they are a lot more easier to get started with, and the money part is also a little bit cost effective sort of. So if you were to start in Sharjah free zone, you can start with close to 5,000 dirhams, which is 1 lakh. And the lowest price I think I've seen is in Ajman. So just to take a step back, you have to submit your documents online. You have to pay the money online. They have to approve your business. You have to tell them what your business is. You have to explain it, and they'll put you into a specific category, and according to which you have to pay the money. And once you pay the money, you will get your visa and your trade license and everything. Most of these certificates you can get online, but for the visa part, you have to actually visit the UAE and get it stamped on your passport. And once you do that, you can get back, or you can start hiring there, or you can live there. That is up to you. The other thing you have to notice is every year there is maintenance charges or renewal charges, and that will usually come to the same kind of amount. So for example, if you're starting out for around 10,000 dirhams in Ajman Media City Free Zone, then you have to shell out exactly, I think, the same kind of amount every year. So just keep that in mind. One other thing you have to keep in mind is you have to also get a bank account, which means you have to get a local bank account like Emirates NBD, or there are a lot of different banks available there. So you can approach one of them and they can start a corporate account with you. And if you are from free zone, they might scrutinize you or ask you for additional documents, because a lot of people have done a lot of scam and stuff like that. So for that matter, they will ask you a lot of questions and documentation. Just keep that in mind. I have found Emirates NBD to be pretty straightforward, but experiences can be very subjective. I've seen also people complain about them. It can also depend on who you're dealing with, or how good or bad your situation is, or how many documents you have, or how can you prove yourself. One thing you have to notice there is, to start a bank account, you have to have some kind of a minimum balance. So like 25,000 dirhams every quarter or so. So they will let you know and you have to stick to it. And that's a tricky part, because there is no standard way of doing it. Of course, there are standard plans like bronze packages, silver packages, etc. But usually what they say is, they look at your business and they'll say, okay, for this kind of business, you would need to put a little bit more. Or if you're a very good business, they usually go with the standard packages. So based on what features you need, that price would go up. Like for example, if you need more checks, or if you need like a USD account, or accounts in different currencies that you need to hold in that bank, then your minimum balance might go up. So ideally, if you start a company, you will be getting a small cubicle space based on the plan that you've taken. Usually it starts from like a 4 people kind of a cubicle, which is like in a shared space or something like that. So if you want to go and work there, you can do so. Or if you want to hire people, you can do so. But if you're a remote company, that's even better. You don't have to necessarily use that space, but you will have a private space there always waiting for you. So in Ajman Media City Free Zone, they have like amazing features with like internet facilities and everything. Same thing with Sharjah and Dubai. But certain plans and certain companies, they do have differences, which means some of them don't give internet, some of them don't give furniture, some of them you can actually get everything like in a plug and play mode. So do your research and find out what is best for you. It all depends on your type of company, the kind of work you do, and how many people you have in your team. All right, guys, so that's it. These are the ways you can actually start your company, be it a small or big one in the UAE. I don't actually personally prefer it, but if you have any other problems which prevents you to starting your company in India or USA or Estonia or Europe, like I mentioned in my previous videos, you can opt for UAE. Of course, you have to factor in the economic situation, what's going on in the world, what's happening to your business, what is your vision for the next 5 years or 10 years, and based on that, you make your decision. But I think this is an opportunity you might want to explore, because of course, there are a lot of benefits and there are a lot of disadvantages as well. Make your decision based on your own research, but this is an opportunity. Many people think that starting a company in the UAE is a big deal, like you have to have a local sponsor and all that stuff, but no, that's not the case. Many things have actually changed in the past couple of years. They've actually made it a lot more simpler for people to start their companies, especially small companies or single person entity companies or small team companies, especially internet companies as well. So they've been identifying these small newer technologies that are emerging, and they're actually trying to woo them into their ecosystem. I wish the India government also did something more similar. India government is doing a lot of different good stuff like single window systems and everything, but I think UAE has done a good job in identifying these new niches and trying to attract them to invest in the UAE. But yeah, you have to be an NRI, you have to be outside of India, you have to visit there, you have to be physically present there and spend your time there, or perhaps also live there for a while to actually make this work. So for some people it might not work, for some people it might. I don't know, I'm not the person to judge you, or I'm not the person to comment on that. That is your decision, but I just wanted to put it out there and say that this is also an option. That's it for today. We'll see you in another video. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, let me know in the comment section below. And if you like the video, you know what to do. Hit the like button and ring that bell, and also subscribe if you haven't yet. This is Mani Karthik signing off.